The Vegas Golden Knights have only been in this league for 3 seasons now. They've been to the Stanley Cup Finals and Conference Finals once apiece already. That's amazing for any team in any league. And they're still considered contenders this season, right? The problem is, there's been some on and off ice drama happening in the last little while. They lost their head coach, Gallant. He was fired for their nemesis in San Jose, DeBoer. Fleury lost his starting job to Lehner. Schmidt, the life of the locker room and the bench, was traded for next to nothing to Vancouver. Stastny is now in Winnipeg, their second-line center. All of a sudden they have an issue down the middle of the ice, and they sort of had a hard time scoring, especially against Dallas and Vancouver, didn't they? Yeah, I know they ran into 2 hot goaltenders, but still, players like Pacioretty just went blank for a while, didn't he? Amongst others. But let's start talking about key arrivals, beginning with the big fish that they landed in Pietrangelo, the right-shot defenseman signed for 7 years at $8.8 million. That's fair for a guy of his caliber, and they arguably have the best duo in the league now with him and Theodore. However, I'm not so sure he plays with them. I would think maybe they'll line him up with McNabb, Theodore with Martinez, but who knows? They could mix it up on offensive zone starts or something, on the power play maybe. Next up, Thomas Yurko, depth winger, was signed to a 1-year, $700,000 contract. And now key departures. Nick Cousins, the center, signed with Nashville. Derek Englund, a defenseman, became a UFA. Stastny I mentioned already, as I did Nate Schmidt. Re-signings. Thomas Nosek, the center, they signed to a 1-year deal. He should be that 4th-line center this year. They also re-signed Chandler Stevenson to a 4-year deal worth $2.75 million. Pretty decent. He's typically their 3rd-line center. He moved up to 2nd for some games during the playoffs and plays wing as well. I think that's a good deal. And then, of course, Robin Lehner, the other big fish, who we all knew they wanted to sign him very badly, but we were like, okay, what happens with Fleury? And do they even have the money because of the cap? And they're still about $1 million or so over at the time of this video. So, but 5 years at $5 million, that's kind of a steal, isn't it? He probably could have gotten at least $1.5 million more on the open market. Now, rookies who could crack the lineup. Let's start with the forward group, and let's talk about the number 1 overall prospect, Peyton Krebs. He's their centerman. He's about 20 years old, 19. He'll be 20 in January. There's a lot of hype behind this guy. Some people are even calling him to be the second-line center. But, we'll see what happens in training camp, because right now, Cody Glass may have that spot. Or even Chandler Stevenson. We'll see. Next, I wanted to talk about Jack Dugan, their 2nd-ranked overall prospect. He's a left winger. He's 22 years old, 6'2". He's got an opportunity as well, as does Lucas. I'm going to mispronounce his last name. Are you ready for it? Elvins. Now, he is another centerman. He's 21 years old right now. Swedish, 6 foot, 174 pounds. He should be at training camp. Then we get into some defensemen here. Now, the left side is McNabb, Martinez, Holden. The right is Pietrangelo, Theodore, and Whitecloud. Hey, they've got 2 right-shot defenders now. Isn't that amazing? You couldn't hear enough about how they only had 1 during the playoffs. In any case, the depth guys there will probably be Nicholas Haig and Carl Dahlstrom, who are both left-shot defensemen. Both big players, 6'6", 6'4", and young, 22, 25. But Dylan Coghlan, I think you say it that way, he's a right-shot defenseman, and he's not, he's still young, 22, 6'2", 190 pounds. He's going to keep Whitecloud on his toes and keep him honest, because he could be at training camp too, as will probably Jimmy Schultz. He's ranked 8th overall on the prospect list. Coghlan was ranked 7th, by the way. But Schultz is 25. He's older, 6'1", 205 pounds. We'll see what he does. What are my profile picks for this team in the offseason? Best acquisition is obviously Pietrangelo. The sleeper here, although he's not, from the offseason per se, I think it's Alex Tuck. Because of how well he played in the playoffs. I even thought they might even trade him while his value is high. The dark horse here, I think, is Zach Whitecloud. He's really young. He can still improve. He showed he could stick around with the big boys in the playoffs, and he's got some other youngsters budding at his pant legs, as I mentioned earlier. Best bang for the buck, you got to give it to Robin Lehner. And don't forget about Chandler Stevenson and Nicholas Roy. The center/winger. Roy will probably be third line left winger besides Stevenson, actually, and Tuck. But he played pretty good in the playoffs as well. So keep a lookout for him. How do I grade this team overall? I'm going to give them a solid B because they got 2 players they wanted to get, but they sure sacrificed a lot. And because of where they are with the cap right now, and the fact that they have some issues down the center of the ice, which may or may not be able to solve with some of these rookies, I don't know. I would love to hear from you, especially Vegas Golden Knight fans, on how you would grade this team down in the comment section below. And congratulations! You've made it to the end of this video. Please celebrate by hitting that like, subscribe, and notification bell, which will alert you when my next video comes out, which will be about the New York Rangers, ladies and gentlemen. Please, in this crazy world we're living in right now, be kind to each other. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.